I love this recipe because it could be done very quickly in an afternoon for lunch. I mean, if we're not making a whole batch of cookies, we may as well make one giant cookie. Where were you when I was first starting? So the first thing we want to do is mix together all of our dry ingredients. Brown sugar, all-purpose flour, organic granulated sugar, and some cocoa powder. Finally, some baking powder. We're gonna add in our wet ingredients, vegetable oil, vanilla. I almost forgot to add a pinch of salt with my dry ingredients. Now we're just gonna mix that together. Oh, it's looking like the cake mix I remember in my Easy Bake oven. Isn't it incredible that we used a light bulb to bake cakes? Now we're just gonna transfer it into a mug. I would recommend using like a wider mug. And then we're gonna microwave it for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And that's it. Life is good. And once you take it out of the microwave, make sure to pop some vegan chocolate chips on top of there right away so the heat from the mug cake will actually get them to melt. Now all that's left to do is eat. Oh my God. This tastes very like decadent. It's like nice and moist. Everybody should try this. If you want to dip your toes in some plant-based desserts, you can't turn down one that takes 10 minutes to make. We're gonna start by making a tofu ricotta. We're gonna add in some firm tofu, nutritional yeast, apple cider vinegar, salt, and garlic powder. Now we just blend that up. It's really that easy. And we're gonna let this blend for a couple minutes till it's really smooth. I love this recipe because it could be done like very quickly in an afternoon for lunch. You can also make way more of this and save it in the fridge. And now we're just gonna assemble our vegan pizza. I've got some pita bread here. This is fresh baked vegan pita bread. Another cool way to spruce this up is if you added some roasted red pepper or pesto if you wanted. You know, you can get creative with it. I'm just trying to give you people options. And then we've got some good old fashioned marinara sauce here. And we're just gonna spread our marinara sauce over our pita bread and then dollop our little ricotta balls on top. And then we're just gonna sprinkle some Italian seasoning, fennel seeds, and red pepper flakes. And with that, I'm just gonna pop this in my toaster oven and broil it for like 5 or 6 minutes. But you could also cook it in the oven as well. And that's it, it's that easy. Oh, delicious, filling. And you could customize this, add other toppings if you want. Very beginner friendly. 10, 10, 10 across the board. Got a nice mug here. It's my favorite mug. It's my mom's mug. Well, she gifted it to me. Anyway, I've got a 1/2 cup of macaroni here. I'm gonna pop that in. And then I've got a 1/2 cup of oat milk. We're gonna add some salt and just a little bit of sugar. I'm gonna pop that right in the old microwave. We wanna make sure we're watching this diligently. So when I take it out, I'm gonna give it a little stir. If you do forget to check, you will end up with an explosion. I did this previously when I was trying to make it. This is what you'll be dealing with here if you don't stir it every 30 seconds. You don't want that, trust me, it's a mess. All right, this is looking good and cooked. And now we're gonna just add our last few ingredients. I guess it's not exactly 5 minutes because, you know, give or take what it takes for you to put the stuff in the things and whatever, you get it. It's really close to 5 minutes, all right? We're gonna add in 2 more tablespoons of oat milk, nutritional yeast, and a 1/4 teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. Maybe you're thinking like, what? Rice wine vinegar? The sugar and the rice wine vinegar are in there to help to mimic the lactic acid you would get from real cheese. Science, baby. Ooh, she's coming together right now. Magnificent. Where were you when I was first starting? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take some refined coconut oil. It's very important that you're using refined and not unrefined, because the unrefined is gonna carry a flavor of coconut in it. Refined coconut oil, some light brown sugar, vanilla extract, and we're gonna just start by kind of fluffing this together with a fork. It doesn't need to be perfectly combined because we got a lot more to add in there. Now I'm gonna fold in my applesauce. I'm gonna mix that together as well. You'll see it's starting to smooth up more. Just wanna try to break down any clumps that we see in there. All right, that looks nice and smooth. Now I'm gonna add in some all-purpose flour and fold that in with my rubber spatula. Wow, it's really coming together and starting to look like a nice little cookie dough. I feel like I'm cooking for like an Easy Bake oven right now. It's such a small amount. So you just wanna make sure it comes together so we don't see any more flour streaks in there. And lastly, we're gonna add in some chocolate chips and a pinch of salt. And then just stir that up until it's evenly combined. All right, so everything is stirred together. We've got this mound of cookie dough. I've got a microwave safe plate right here. And what I did is I just took some coconut oil and spread it across the bottom so that our cookie doesn't stick to the plate. So I'm gonna pour our cookie dough out onto my plate. Really excited about this giant cookie. I mean, if we're not making a whole batch of cookies, we may as well make one giant cookie, right? I'm just gonna take a couple more chocolate chips and put them on top because I want to. So now we're just gonna pop our easy bake cookie into our microwave on high for about a minute or so until the top is a little bit dry and it springs back lightly if you give it a little poke. Wow, look at you. This is a grown-up cookie. This is an adult cookie. This is a legit big old cookie. I am so pleased with this. Let's give it a taste. I'm gonna use a fork and I don't wanna wait for it to cool down all the way. So we're just going in there like it's a pancake. Damn, this thing is basically a cake. It is so big, it's dense. I mean, I'd say this cookie pretty much does exactly what we expect of it. It is sweet, it's tasty. I wanted a cookie, I wanted it fast. Here she is. Here we have about 4.5 ounces of tofu. You can use paper towels if you want. I'm trying to be a little more sustainable. So I'm using a cloth and I'm just gonna wrap this up like so. Now that we've got this all wrapped up, we're just gonna put a big old book, or you can put a cast iron pan on top of it to help drain the liquid. While I have my tofu draining, I'm gonna go ahead and pop 2 pieces of white bread on the skillet. So these only need about a minute per side. Let's take our tofu out. Now we're gonna add this to our food processor. Some nutritional yeast, apple cider vinegar, organic sugar, refined coconut oil, and a teaspoon of salt. Let's kick that off. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking,
Merle, that is like a cream cheese. That's not a grilled cheese.
but listen, we're not copping out and doing the store-bought cheese. We're making it from scratch, so you gotta give me a little bit of flexibility here, okay? And technically, the bread is toasted, so there. We're gonna transfer our cheese mixture to a bowl. Now we're just on to the final step. We're gonna add in some very thinly sliced chives, some fresh dill, and some fresh parsley. And the last bit here is assembly. We've got our 2 beautifully toasted pieces of bread. I'm gonna go ahead and spread my cheese on there, and I'm just gonna top it off with some tomato slices. And that's it. It's got the cheesy flavor from the nutritional yeast and a little bit of tang from the apple cider vinegar. It's not a grilled cheese in the traditional sense, but it only takes 5 minutes. It's very healthy. It's all healthy ingredients, and it's got some good protein to it. Woo! That is so good. Oh my God, it's really good. Really, really good. So you wanna grab a microwave safe mug, and we're gonna start by making our icing. We're gonna add some powdered sugar and mix in a little bit of non-dairy milk. We will whisk that up together until it comes together and you're able to drizzle it. Just make sure you add the non-dairy milk very slowly, using only a little bit at a time, because it can go from 0 to 100 just like that. Now we've got our icing all whipped up, and it's time to make the vegan cinnamon rolls. So I've got a medium bowl here, and I'm gonna start by adding in some flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, and non-dairy milk. I'm just gonna use a fork to mix that together so it's no longer dry. Then I'll start bringing the dough together with my hands and knead it like 1 or 2 times and just flatten it into a disc. Basically, we want to form a flat little disc with our dough. We just want to make sure there are no dry spots left. So also, I'm going to quickly toss together my brown sugar and my cinnamon for the filling. I'm just going to use a fork to toss those together. Now I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to lightly flour our surface here. I'm going to roll out our dough until we get like a 6-inch rectangle. Then I'm gonna take a sharp knife and I'm just gonna go around the edges so that it looks like more of a rectangle. And don't worry, we're not gonna waste these. We're gonna put them right back on here and just flatten them onto our cinnamon roll. Because it doesn't matter if the inside doesn't look pretty. We're not gonna see that part. Now we're gonna take a little bit of water and just gently press on our cinnamon roll. That way our cinnamon sugar mixture has something to stick to. And it'll help to seal up our cinnamon roll when we go to, you know, rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. All right, now I'm gonna take my brown cinnamon sugar mixture and I'm gonna sprinkle that over half of my rectangle here. I'm gonna make sure you go right up to the edge All right, now it's time to roll it up. Now I'm gonna just fold my rectangle in half, like so. And now I'm going to roll it right up. Just takes blind confidence. It's gonna be great. Oh, we've got our adorable little cinnamon roll. Now I've got a mug and I'm going to spray it with a nonstick cooking spray. I'm gonna place my little cinnamon roll in there and I'm just gonna drizzle a half a teaspoon of water over the dough. Now it's time to microwave this for about 75 to 90 seconds on high. And that's it. You could honestly just take this and put it in your cup holder in your car and eat it.